She sent the text and she has been asked this question and she's been asking people this question. What does freedom mean to you? And what would you do to achieve and maintain it? And that actually brought back so many memories, Jennifer, when I began my journey as an entrepreneur. The word freedom was was kind of new to me. It was a catchphrase, create freedom. Um, this was before real estate. I was in a network marketing company, involved with a network marketing company, and people use that word all the time inside the network marketing company. I used to meet at a at an old, it was like a Days Inn or one of those inns in a part of Maryland called Glen Burnie, probably about 25 minutes from where I lived, right off the side of a highway. And I'll never forget the first meeting I attended. There were people running up to the front of the room, cutting up their credit cards. And those people would get on the microphone and say, I'm free, I'm free. I'm here now, a 19, 20-year-old kid looking at this behavior of adults 2 to 3, 4 times my age. And I didn't really understand what they meant. I didn't even know what credit score was at the time. But as I got older, I understood like some people, what freedom means to them was freedom from debt. That's one of the driving forces. A lot of people get involved in side hustles or entrepreneurship or even real estate because they feel like they're a slave to debt, right? So that's one reason why people seek freedom. Now, for me, it was totally different. At that time, I didn't have any debt. I have debt now, but at that time, I didn't have any debt, and I didn't even. Did I have a job? I think I just started working. I just started working, and there were people at that same network marketing meeting and my mentor at the time eh, for the organization that I was in, he always talked about creating freedom for himself and becoming unemployable. So that was intriguing to me. At the time, I was reading a book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I need to reread that because I haven't read it in about 20 to 22 years. And in that book, it talked about creating freedom through investing, right? Through entrepreneurship, through creating passive income. And that was kind of the lingo at this network marketing event that I attended at least once a week. It was creating passive income. It was creating freedom. So my mentor, Mr. Simon Edwards, he would always say, I became free when I quit my 9 to 5. And I took on that belief. I took on that belief that I wasn't free working a 9 to 5. Okay. Now that's because at 22, 23 years old, I was in the office. You all know the story, doing the same mundane things over and over again, making the same amount of money. No matter how hard I worked or how hard I did not work, I was always going to get the same check as long as I showed up to work. And I made a decision that I was going to become free from a 9 to 5. So to me, freedom when I first saw it was to become free from a job. And there's nothing wrong with having a job. I was young, naive in my early 20s. Sometimes I feel like I quit too early because I knew too little at the time of leaving. I knew a lot, I knew enough to make a living, but I did not know enough to build a fortune. And that started, in my 30s when I started figuring out this real estate business. So as you progress throughout your career, the word freedom is going to mean different things. Now, the goal for me and my family is to become financially free. What that means is financially free to me means debt is either low or non-existent. All bills are paid for by assets, car payments, paid for by a rental property, mortgage payments, mortgage payment, where I will live with my family, paid for by investment property, health insurance, paid for by investment property, cable bill, BG&E, electric, gas and electric. All my utilities are paid for by other assets. Now, thinking back to that book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, they had something in there called the cash flow quadrant. They also had another graph or chart that pretty much categorized what a self-employed person does, what an investor does. There's two differences. I'm working towards being more of the investor later in my career than self-employed, because as self-employed, that doesn't mean you don't have a job. That means you still have to go out and work. You still have to go out and chop trees. As an investor, you're creating passive residual income. And we do that through real estate. So freedom means a lot of different things. Some people are trying to become free from prison or jail, or back in 1800s, slavery. Freedom means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. But in a nutshell, freedom to me equals lifestyle design, doing whatever I want to do when I want to do it. Nobody tells me how to do anything. It's like I could be on a beach with a pina colada in my hand, and I know every month the same exact number, if not more, is going to come in. Okay. If not more, is going to come in. And it doesn't matter your age. You could be 20, you could be 50, you could be 60. You can always create freedom. You can always build an empire. I had somebody last week say, I'm uh I'm old now. I said, how old are you? She said, I'm 65. I said, you're still young. I said, Frederick Douglass was built five houses at 77, and he was working on his last property, I believe at 78. Well, it might have been 75, and he at 77 he was working on his last property. He never stopped buying property. And I told the lady, I said, I have clients that are older than you that are still actively buying property and renting property out. So, oh, woo, that was a great question, Jennifer, because my older clients that are in their 60s and 70s that are buying property or have purchased property, it wasn't for just their freedom. It was for their children and their children's freedom and their children's children, their grandchildren's freedom. So creating freedom, say none of you become free in your lifetime, but you've purchased enough assets that your children are in a position, if they have an interest, if they are coachable from what you teach them, they can maintain those assets and create freedom for themselves and other generations. So freedom means a lot. Creating freedom for yourself and future generations. I love it. Jennifer, that was a great question. You should make that a social media post. Put it in, make it a post on your page. I'll share it in my story. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to get a lot of responses. A lot of responses. So somebody I want to bring to the stage. He's no stranger to our platform. He's spoken on several training stages alongside of myself. He has, I would say, not I would say, he has over 20 years of real estate investing experience. We started uh, out around the same year. He learned about wholesaling a few years after that through one of my programs. And he's just like a lot of you, works a really good government job, family man, had a interest in investing in real estate, uh, built a nice portfolio. He created, like, I watched this guy literally create a real estate business during the recession, something that was very rare, that did not really exist in our market and around the country. He's one of the leading authorities in. I'm bringing him on tonight because he recently closed a deal. We did a deal together, and we're going to talk about that. So, Eric, I like to open up the stage for you, man. I'm going to unpin and I'm going to just start asking, shooting questions at you. Man, thank you for breaking your schedule, man, and jumping on this Zoom.
My pleasure. Can you hear me good?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear, bro. So
Awesome,
Eric,
awesome.
just to give some folks a background, like, I just want folks to know that are watching this, like, when did you decide real estate was going to be a thing for you? It was going to be something you invested your time, energy, and money in. When did that happen for you?
Um, just getting out of college, started reading books, going to the library. Just before ebooks. I mean, like you said, 18, 20 years ago. And then
Yeah,
when the books all started sounding the same, it was like, all right, now I got to dive in. And you go to those meetings, which I think I would see you at things like that,
yeah.
and then creating a network. And then it was like, all right, it's time to put your money up. I mean, you can keep reading, you can keep hearing the same thing, but sometimes you got to like start. You got to take that risk, and I did. And as you know, I was a rehabber at first.
Yes.
My first property netted like 60, 70 grand, and I was like, wow,
Nice.
like,
What year was that?
like you know,
What year would you say that? Was that like '04? What year was this?
2006,
2006. So
2006.
people, like, y'all listening to the
Yeah,
real deal right now. Like, if you're watching this
yeah.
recording, there ain't nobody that started in 2013 or 2009. This is before it was a before it was cool to invest in real estate. We were in the trenches investing. Before it was Google, you could Google everything, YouTube everything. We were out there digging for the information and executing. So, man,
When
so
you
that
had to
that
go to a
first
library,
you had to go to a library.
library to get
Exactly.
books, right?
We had to go to the courthouse to do the
Right,
research.
all that.
We
Yeah.
may not look old, but we've been in the game for a long time. So, so Eric, that first rehab, right? People probably want to know, how'd you acquire it? Was it on market? Was it off market? Did you go to the auction? Let's dive into that part.
So, so I'm like in the car.
Oh,
I
that's
got
cool. You're not
two. I
driving,
got,
are
I
you?
got, I got two toddlers. No, no, no.
Oh, good.
I'm got two toddlers. So my wife's taking care of them. I don't want them to disturb me. So I like
Oh,
go
yeah.
outside, but the spiders are. But anyway,
Cool,
so
cool.
it actually, you when you start a business, you have to let everyone know what you're trying to do. And it happened to be a coworker of mine had a rental property next to a vacant, and he told me
Wow.
about it. So
Got
I
you.
looked up the owner. I didn't know how to look up phone numbers.
Yes.
So I just took a risk. I went and knocked on the guy's door. Yeah. So I
Wow.
knocked on his door. He was a veteran. I asked him, "Hey, I saw you at this property. It's vacant." And he, went over. He showed it to me. He wanted like 40 grand. I talked him down to like
Hold up.
18
The
something.
same day he showed you the property after knocking on his door?
Yeah, he lived around the corner.
Wow.
Yeah,
Total
yeah, yeah,
stranger. Let me put this in
yeah.
perspective for everybody. Eric was at work. He told everybody what he does. Someone said, "Hey, there's a vacant property next to my house." He looks up the owner. This is before skip tracing, folks. He looks up the owner and drives. How far was the drive from your job to this owner's property?
So I was working in Woodlawn, and it was in South Baltimore. I remember it was Maud Avenue. I don't
Gotcha. So
remember the
that's
address.
about
It was South Baltimore, like off
30
by
minutes.
6th Street or something. Like, yeah.
25 to 30 minute drive.
Yeah, yeah,
You spend about an hour to go get this lead to attempt. So you knock on his door. He comes to the
mhm.
door, retired veteran, and then he takes you total, and you're a total stranger. This guy don't know you from a
Yeah. He
can
was
of paint.
like, "Oh, great!" Like he didn't. He was so excited that someone actually wanted to buy the property.
Oh my gosh, the good old days.
Yeah, I remember this. I mean, it's my first deal, so you remember your first one,
Exactly,
But
exactly.
yeah, it was just a show. It was like nothing but birds in there. It was horrible. Like I'd never seen nothing
Oh
like that.
wow,
Yeah, and
wow.
so
Single family detached or row house?
it was a row house.
Okay.
Yeah, row house.
Wow. So he shows you this house and he says he wants 40,000.
Yeah. I told him
Okay.
I'd get back to him. I called him the next day. I got him down to it was either 18 or 22. It was in that round 20, and he was ready to go.
Wow.
Yeah,
So you hired contractors.
yeah.
Did did it this is your first rehab project. Did it go smoothly or what took place?
No, no. I mean,
Mhm.
it's very rare that a rehab goes smoothly at all.
Yeah.
You got to get the financing, and because I'm young, never did a deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I put the money up. Luckily, I had, was saving, living at my
Yep.
mom's house.
Right.
Uh, you put up that money. You don't know contractors. Luckily, I had a realtor who referred me to a contractor.
Got it.
Um, that deal worked out with that contractor, but it's hard to find good. In
I
general,
agree.
it's hard to find good workers. It's
Yes.
hard. It's just very hard. But it worked out. I mean, that one worked out. Sold it. I actually still have a copy of the check because it's motivation of what it was. and
Documentation beats conversation
yeah,
every time.
so I have it, and I've done presentations you've seen, and I have a copy of that. I show
Yeah.
it because it's real life. Like you can make it happen, and it took some
Eh,
time. It was a learning
Yes.
experience, um, but it worked out, and you just go from there.
Yes. Yes, indeed. So Eric, I mean, 20 plus years in the real estate business. You've had some ups and downs, and for the folks just chiming in, I'm talking
Yeah,
to Eric Zellick. His first rehab deal, he made over $60,000. Make sure you rewind this recording if you're watching to hear. He gives you the strategy he used. Um, and I tell you, man, we got to address this because a lot of people are are afraid to do what you did, but they're even afraid to take the first step in getting started, which is really investing in their education.
hmm
But also, once they invest in their education, they have to now apply that information. And you did that. You bought all those books. You started applying the information like you had to jump in, and then you got a result. Now, what's the chances of everybody watching this to get the same result in this day and age?
hmm
It may slim to none. Like, real estate investing is popular now, unlike when we started in the early 2000s.
Right, right,
But
definitely.
but there are still opportunities like that because some
Yeah,
people don't trust the person over the phone. They'd rather see the person knock on their door. Like I remember traveling in New Jersey and I was in some of the wealthiest neighborhoods there, and the real estate professional that I was hanging out with told me that the investors here, they don't call. They go door to door, like a door-to-door salesman. There's a gentleman that you know from the area, Eric King. He's out in
yeah,
California. I just got off the phone with him. He's a former NFL player. He said,
yeah.
Marcel, when I lost my restaurant business, I had to figure something out, and I was knocking on doors in California,
Mm.
buying property. And that door knocking, that is a strategy, ladies and gentlemen, write it down. It is old school, grass rooted, but it still works. And it separates you from everybody else. And for the members that are real estate agents, you all know this because they train you all to door knock in your profession. So, Eric, 20 years in the game, you've gone through the ups and downs of the real estate. cycles. You lived through the 2008 housing crash.
Mm.
You never lost your job like most of America did, but you stayed in real estate when a lot of people left real estate. How did you survive the housing crash? Because there's talks
That's
of
a
a
great question.
recession. Yeah. How'd you survive
So
that?
there's ups and downs. I'll never forget. It was like the market was coming down,
Yes.
and I had a rehab going on in Baltimore, Maryland,
Hmm.
Forest Park Avenue by the golf course,
Yes.
and I got a call from I don't know what the name of the title is. There's a person that kind of chases like the fire trucks. I
Yeah.
had a fire at my house that I
I
was
re
rehabbing. It
Yep.
was like a month away from being done.
Wow.
And I get to the property and I notice it's 11 a.m. My contractor isn't even there. So that was, of course, the last time I used him. But my house burned down essentially. Insurance took over, but that insurance that takes, they don't, that insurance doesn't kick in a month. It takes months and months and months. Stuck with that bill. Long story short, it got foreclosed. I didn't owe anything because it essentially sold for what I owed after it got fixed up. So that was great, which
Yeah.
shows how much more money I would have made because it was actually in the recession when it sold. So so at that point, I mean, me and you back then, we were like communicating very often because you were doing a lot of deals, and I was just in a bad space. And I remember you saying, "Man, come to the office, man. Like,
Yeah.
just come."
Wow.
And I'll never forget. It was weird. Like, you were there. You had sold up property, because wholesaling, and I kind of got all that. I was one of your first guys. I did a
Yeah.
couple wholesale. I like the rehabs.
Right.
And a guy, he owned a restaurant. He owns a couple. I don't want to say
I
his name.
remember. I remember
Yeah,
him. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And he calls you in the office like, "Hey, Marcel, I just bought this house. Do you have any tenants?" And you were like, "Nah." And then you were like, "Eric, can you find a tenant?" And I'm just like, "Yeah, like I need to get some bread, man. Like I'm hungry. My 9 to 5 is just paying my bills.
Right.
It's not, real estate money is like
Yeah.
fun stuff.
Yeah.
And just from my perspective, and I was like, yeah. So you like told me to call him, and I was like, hey, Marcel referred me to you. I can find you a tenant. I mean,
Hmm.
he gave me the property. I went out like the next morning
Yeah.
before I went to work. I put it on MySpace. That's how long ago it was. It was like
Yes,
2008,
indeed.
like
Yes, indeed.
MySpace in 2009, and I had two people hit me up. I showed it, and I made like $750 in like 3 hours of work. And I was like,
Can't beat it.
whoa, I
Can't
didn't use
beat it.
any credit because my credit shot.
Yeah.
I have a foreclosure. I can't buy anything
Yeah.
for like 7, 8 years now.
Right.
So I'm done in that area in terms of rehabbing. No hard money lender's going to lend me any money. No
Right.
one's going to let me refinance out of anything.
Yep.
My credit's done. And then it was like, whoa, this is something that I can help people do. And
Yeah.
from then on, I mean, I created a tenant placement company,
Yes.
property management, guest rent houses, and I mean, it took off at a height. We were doing almost a deal a day in terms of running. And mind you, folks, I still had a 9 to 5, like not telework. I'm going into the office.
Absolutely.
So it's possible if you want to do stuff, you can do it. Regardless of your circumstance.
Yep. So
So I
in
mean,
a nutshell, during a recession,
yeah,
you created a six-figure empire.
yeah. It was. I mean, if you think about in Baltimore,
Yep.
I mean back then rents were low, so it was if you think about maybe $1,000 a
Hmm.
a property, and you're
Hmm.
doing 20-25 a month for like a year and a half, 2 years. I mean,
Yeah.
it was skyrocketing. So it
And
was awesome. It was awesome.
and the cool thing is Eric has some plans on putting together a curriculum um that he's going to launch nationwide. Um, I, I'm going to be a part of it, and it is going to be a game changer. There's nothing like it on the planet right now. The secrets that he knows in regards to this niche are just amazing. They're going to blow you away. The other thing is that he said something key, and I want y'all to really understand this. He said when he started this was 2008, okay? The rents were around 700. They were affordable in Baltimore. Now those rents have almost doubled, if not more than doubled.
Yeah.
So I want everybody to understand this. Rent never goes down
Nope.
unless you have a cool landlord, or a landlord that rents their properties and their units out from the heart, because there are some landlords that do that. I know a few. However, most aren't. They want to keep up with the market. They want to keep up with appreciation, and they have to because the most of them have loans on their properties.
Hmm.
So if you type in rent advertisements from the 1920s, you're gonna see $7 rents. You're gonna see $3 a month rents. But if you go to the 50s, you'll see $13 a month rents, $30 a month rents. You go into the 60s and 70s, you start seeing 150 a month, 200 a month. And then you get into the 80s, you start seeing 400 a month, 9,600 a month. And it doesn't go down, it just continues to go up. So when you buy property today, ladies and gentlemen, now I was looking over there because I'm looking at the screen here. But when you buy properties today, ladies and gentlemen, you got to look at what that property will be worth in 20 years and what will the rent on that property be. Jennifer posed the question earlier, what does freedom mean? Well, if you buy a property today, 40, 50, 60 years from now, someone in your lineage, if you structure your assets correctly, is going to benefit from the work that you did today so they can be free tomorrow. I hope that doesn't go over everybody's head. So Eric, your first deal was a word of mouth deal.
Hmm.
Your last deal, essentially, and in between all of this,
Right.
not your last deal ever, but your latest deal,
Right.
in
Exactly.
between all of this, you've picked up rental properties. When did you buy your first rental property?
Uh, to be honest, I don't even. It was actually a mistake because it happened when I was rehabbing another house
Yeah,
and the recession hit, and I was forced to be a landlord. So
yeah,
get out the
I've been
hard
there.
money and yeah, forced to be a landlord. So that was like 2009, 2010.
And you still
Uh,
own the property today, right?
no, not that one. No, no.
Okay,
I do have a couple others that I picked up. Oh, I have another one that I did get around that time that I still have on Cook's Lane in Baltimore
got
by
it.
the city county line that I
What
still
year?
have that I
What
haven't
year did you buy that one? Do you know
probably around 2009, 2010.
how much was it worth, fixed up, rented out when you
Well,
purchased
at
it?
that time, I thought it was going to go for around 140.
140.
I see
Okay,
sales in that area now around like 190.
190. Wow.
Yeah.
And what was the rent when you originally started leasing that
Well,
property?
I've had the same tenant there for about 13 years.
Phew.
Section 8 tenant takes
Yeah.
care of the property. I haven't heard from her in 2 years. I just need about check.
Is the rent the
So I'm
same?
happy about
Is the rent the same? Did you keep the
that.
rent the same?
It, it goes up a little bit. It's, it's almost 14 now.
Okay,
3 bedroom,
gotcha.
2 full bath, row home. But
1400.
city tries to, yeah, city tries to, uh,
Got it.
for to put in perspective, I have a 3 bedroom, 2 full bath in the county, and I get almost 1900. So
Gotcha.
yeah, so
Amazing,
it is
man.
what it is. Yeah, I mean, it's part of the game. A lot of people, and you talk about freedom and building passive income. A lot of people don't like renters and dealing with that, which is
Yep.
why I was successful when the recession hit and couldn't rehab because I don't. It doesn't bother me. And the reason why is you just have like everyone has a story.
Hmm.
Renters have a story, sellers have a story, buyers have a story, and it's seeing through and finding the solution. And when you do that, it's easy. It's like don't get bogged down by oh I didn't do this. Like okay, like we all have stories. You
Yep.
know, I talked about mine. Buying a house. It is what it is. You got to just keep going. So once I learned that, I was perfectly fine with dealing with renters and all that, and managing properties, and just trying to be successful.
Excellent. Excellent. All right, man, this is a great call so far. You recently closed a deal. It
Yeah,
brought in well it it closed and it was a $25,000 gross profit.
right.
This property was a in unit, a brick property, 5 bedrooms, well kept home. We we partnered on the deal. Um, there was a real estate agent involved, and we'll get into that. But I like you to share like how this deal fell in your lap.
Like I said, you gotta just let everyone know what you do.
Yes,
My uncle,
word of
who
mouth marketing.
that my uncle, and I mean, he's buying property. He rehabs his own property by himself. Um, he's older. I mean, you talked
Yep,
about a lady. He's talking about 65. He's around that age, and he still works on his homes, and he was a source of a maintenance person for me when I would need things done at properties of mine and things, and just general conversation. And he was like, "Yeah, I got a house on Edmondson. I'm tired of renting, tired of renters, thinking about selling." And I was like, "Well, how much you selling it for?" He gave me a number, and I was like, "Okay, like let me take a look." And then I had spoke to you, and I was like, "Yeah," because I haven't done a wholesale deal in a long time,
yeah,
and I was just like, "Hey, my uncle's selling this property. I told you the area, the address, and you were like, get it under contract because I think we can partner up." And I was
yep,
like, "Excellent." And I think it's important. Like me and you, we've built a friendship over the years, as
yes,
well as a business relationship, and it's important to keep in contact with those movers and shakers because you never know when someone can you could partner up with a deal.
absolutely.
And we did, and we got it under contract. We showed the house, I think, maybe 5 times.
Yep,
Um, you assisted with, sending out an email, and in less than 30 days, I mean, a realtor came involved, brought a buyer, so they get a check, which is fine.
yeah,
uh, and everything was good. The seller, my uncle, he got what he asked for,
yep,
and we got what we asked for, and it's nothing better than that, and that's part of relationships. Letting everyone know what you do, and you never
hmm
know. Like I've gotten other referrals from family members too. This wasn't the first, but this was the most recent, and we closed what Monday? Yeah, I think it
yeah.
was Monday. Yeah.
And I'll tell folks like this is a nugget for everybody, right? When when Eric and I started in the business, wholesaling was not popular at all. There were only maybe two to four people teaching it nationwide. We're talking early 2000. Now more people are aware of that niche, but they're more aware of real estate investing in general because of the advent of social media. We were MySpace kids. Um, so with more people getting into the market, that means there's going to be a little competition, but also inventory is going to be
Mm-hmm.
shorter. It's going to be shorter inventory. It's going to be less houses available for rent. and for sale. So that creates a demand. Interest rates have gone up. The demand is still there because there's not enough properties for people to rent or to buy. So real estate is a hot commodity right now. It's a hot investment vehicle that you all should be involved in some capacity. There are hundreds of jobs in the real estate space, but you got to get educated, you got to get certified in many of those. But the niches that we teach here at the Freedom and Wealth Seekers Academy, anyone from any walk of life can take advantage of wholesaling houses, local government foreclosures, flipping landlords, buying and holding properties, okay? Wholesaling properties. About five niches here that you can actually learn without getting any license and any certifications. You just get the right information by becoming
Hmm.
a member of the Freedom and Wealth Seekers Academy. There's a link somewhere around this video you can click. You can become a member. It's only a small cash outlay each month of $347 a month. That's cheaper than a used car payment in the United States right now. And believe me, some people say, "Well, Marshall, I can't afford it." No, you can't afford not to do it. You can't afford not to learn how to own a piece of real estate in America in this day and age. We just talked. I don't have to sing to the choir. I don't have to preach here tonight. You just heard a guy that's been in the business for 20 plus years, got foreclosed, went through a whole foreclosure, got foreclosed on, but still was able to make a living part time too. He's a part time real estate pro and he's building a fortune for himself and his family. So if he can do it, everybody watching this video can do the same thing. So, Eric,
Hey,
congratulations on this deal. Oh, go
I
ahead.
just, I just, I just want to add on to what you said.
Yeah.
I mean, I went to 4 years of college. I got an MBA. That doesn't make me money. That just has me work for someone. But these lessons, like what I made off this deal, is way more than I ever paid you to learn about wholesaling. And I haven't wholesaled in like a decade. But it was
Yeah,
like, I know when there's a deal, and I know, okay, who can I call to, let's make it happen. And that's
absolutely.
very important because people, we go to college, we go to school, and trust me, like I'm all for that.
Yep.
It's a job, you get your 9 to 5, but these things that are like minimal amount of cost, and I know because I'm looking for a used vehicle right now. It ain't gonna be no $350. Trust me, with these interest rates.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. Exactly.
and,
It's
and, and the
that's why I
not
said it's cheaper. A membership with the academy
exactly
is cheaper than a used car payment.
no, it is, and it's life lessons. So, like when you come across something, you may not make any money in 2 months, but that fifth month, something may come like, oh, I remember this. This is where it is. And then 2 years down the line, it comes again. And then you know who to call, you know what to do. And it's just educating, learning.
Yes.
You talked about being on the call,
Yes.
coming, going into calls, learning. And that's a part of it. And I told you, I knew I had to do something different when all the books in the library sounded the same. And it was
Exactly.
like, all right, now I got to go. I got to jump in. And
Oh man.
appreciate you having me on. I appreciate
Definitely.
you continuing with the deal.
Yes,
To
sir.
everyone on here, just don't stop. Just keep going. Keep learning. Marcel, Marcel is awesome, man. Trust me. Like he he started wholesaling because he had too many deals on his plate for rehabbing. I
Yeah, I was
remember
yeah.
that. He had too many deals, and no one knew how he got those deals because he was making it happen. So he's the man. Trust me, he is the man, and I'm fortunate to call him a friend, and look forward to working with him on many more endeavors for sure. And you know
Oh,
that, fellas.
absolutely. Absolutely. We're gonna keep rocking and rolling. Eric, thank you again. You
All right,
sacrificed some time from your family and it's greatly appreciated here at the Academy. And we're looking forward to seeing you around soon, man. I can't wait.
definitely. Anytime, bro. All
All
right,
right,
take
take
care.
care.